Artworkium, and you're listening to Inventive Legacies, patents that shaped our lives.
Welcome. This is the series where we take those amazing patent prints from our online store and really dig into the stories behind them.
Yeah, we translate the technical drawings, the sort of legal jargon, into something, well, more like a conversation.
Think of it as a little bonus from us, a way to say thanks if you've got one of the prints. We want you to have the art, sure, but also the cool history that comes with it.
And today, oh boy, we're diving into a real classic. A game that probably caused a fair few family squabbles.
Has to be Battleship, right?
You got it. We're looking at the patent that started it all, US1988301. You can find the print itself in the Toys and Games section on our site.
And just a heads up, if you want to see the diagrams we're talking about, especially some of the weirder early ideas, the link to the print is right there in the episode description.
Okay, let's get into it. First surprise, maybe. The patent filed by the inventor, Louis Coffin. It wasn't actually called Battleship.
No, not at all. The official title is super generic. It's just Game Board.
Game Board.
Yeah.
That's almost funny, knowing what it became. Filed February 23, 1933. Patented January 15th, 1935. It sounds so utilitarian.
Well, and that really points to Coffin's original idea. He was based in Cincinnati, Ohio, and his goal, according to the patent text, was pretty broad.
He wasn't just thinking ships?
Not exclusively, no. He wanted to create a simple, sturdy, and importantly, cheaply produced board with holes and pins. And the key phrase is it could be used for several different games.
Ah, okay, so less let's simulate naval combat and more here's a flexible system for hidden information games.
That's it. The real invention was the underlying mechanism for hiding and finding stuff using parts that were easy and cheap to replace. Very practical for the Depression era. Yeah.
Makes sense. So to appreciate where it ended up, we kind of need to look at where it started. Model 1.
Right. Model 1, Figure 1 in the patent drawings. We like to call this the chalk era.
The chalk era. Okay, this sounds interesting because anyone who played Battleship in like the last 50 years knows the plastic pegs and ships.
Totally different setup. So you had this board held upright between the players, 2 grids of holes like you'd expect. You had pins, but no plastic ships.
So how did you place your ships?
Get this. The patent says players used erasable marking means, such as chalk or pencil. You literally drew a line or an enclosure around a set of holes on your side of the board.
You drew your battleship. Like a 4-hole chalk outline was the battleship, 3 holes for a cruiser, 2 for a destroyer.
That's exactly it. You drew the target zone.
Wow. I mean, that sounds incredibly open to interpretation. And maybe cheating. Hey, that chalk line definitely moved.
Yeah, you can imagine, right? It relied a lot on players being honest. So when your opponent called out a coordinate, say B5, they'd stick a pin in that hole on their side.
And if that pin landed inside your chalk line,
then it was a hit. And you, the defender, had to tell them what kind of ship they'd hit. A battleship, cruiser, whatever.
Okay, but the attacker still can't see the chalk line. How did they keep track of the damage? Did they just have to remember?
No, there was a system for that too. Bit clunky, maybe. Down on the base of the board, there were separate groups of sockets or holes.
Like a little tracking area.
Right. A group of 4 sockets, a group of 3, a group of 2. If you scored a hit on, say, the opponent's cruiser, the 3-hole ship, you'd put one of your pins into one of the sockets in that 3-hole group on your base.
So it's a counter. You weren't mapping the hits on the ship itself, just tallying hits against that type of ship.
You got it. Once all 3 sockets in the cruiser group were filled, you knew you'd sunk their cruiser, even if you never saw where it was drawn.
Okay, that's clever in an analog way, but complicated and probably messy with all the chalk dust.
Definitely. Coffin even mentions a variation where players could fire a broadside, put in 3 or 4 pins at once per turn. Imagine the potential for arguments there.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so clearly this chalk method had its drawbacks. Coffin must have realized it too.
Seems like it. Because he came up with Model 2, shown in figures 2 and 3, and this is the real breakthrough. This is what made the game work so well.
This gets rid of the chalk.
Completely. The new board design was the key. It was made in 2 sections, held together, and sandwiched right between them was, and I quote, preferably opaque, frangible material.
Okay. Opaque, frangible material. Sounds fancy. What is that in plain English?
Well, basically, paper. A disposable sheet of paper you could break easily.
Ah, okay. I think I see where this is going. The paper replaces the chalk drawings.
Exactly. So now the defending player sets up their ships, their targets, by inserting pins partially into the holes on their side of the board. Just enough so they stick in, but don't go all the way through the paper. They're hidden.
Hidden pins, pressed up against the paper barrier. Got it.
Then the attacker calls their shot, say C4. They take their pin and push it firmly into the C4 hole on their side.
Right through their board section, through the paper.
And into the hidden space on the other side. Now here's the genius part. If there wasn't a hidden target pin in C4, the attacking pin just pokes a hole in the paper. Nothing happens.
What if there was a hidden pin there?
The attacking pin hits it, pushes it, and fractures the paper around the hole. The force knocks the hit or target pin completely out of its socket.
It falls down.
It falls down, usually into a little trough or just onto the table below the board where the attacker can see it. Bang! Direct hit confirmed. You literally knocked out their pin.
That is brilliant. Simple physical confirmation. You hear it, you see the pin drop. No arguments, no chalk dust. Just satisfying destruction.
And the best part, totally reusable. When the game's over, you just take the board sections apart, toss the used paper sheet, put in a fresh one, and you're ready to go again. Cheap, clean, effective.
That really is the core of the Battleship we know today, isn't it? That pin-knocking mechanism.
Pretty much. But, and this is important, Coffin's vision was bigger than just ships. Remember, the patent was for a game board.
Right, the modular system idea. He had other games in mind for this.
Oh, yeah. He actually details another game quite specifically in the patent text. It's called Scouts.
Scouts. Okay, tell me about Scouts. Does it use the same board?
Same board, same pin mechanism. But the gameplay is totally different. One player sets up hidden bases, they call them regiments or companies, by partially inserting pins in small groups.
Like secret locations.
Exactly. The other player has just one pin, the scout, and their goal is to move this scout pin, one hole at a time, across the board towards some designated endpoint.
So not attacking, but navigating, trying to sneak through.
Precisely. You want to get your scout to the finish line without landing on one of the hidden company pins.
Okay, interesting twist.
But here's my favorite part. There's a specific rule for interaction. If the scout player is about to move their pin into a hole right next to a hidden company pin, the defending player must give a warning. They have to announce, officially, the scout is sighted.
No way. The scout is sighted. That's actually in the patent.
It's right there in the text. That forces the scout player to change direction, try to find another path around the hidden danger zone.
That's fantastic. It turns it into this little game of cat and mouse, of near misses and warnings. I love that detail.
It shows how much thought Coffin put into the system, not just the naval theme. He even suggests other things you could do.
Like what?
Well, you could put different printed sheets under the perforated board. Imagine slipping a drawing of a football field under there, or a baseball diamond, or even a maze. The holes could represent positions or pathways for totally different games.
So the board becomes a kind of universal interface for hidden movement or targeting games?
Yeah, or even abstract puzzles. He suggests one player could secretly form a letter, like a T or an S, using partially inserted pins. The other player then has a limited number of guesses pin placement to try and figure out the hidden symbol by knocking out all its parts.
Like a spatial Wordle, almost, using pens instead of letters.
Kind of. It just shows the flexibility he envisioned. It wasn't just Battleship. It was a platform for, well, for hiding and finding things using pins in a breakable layer.
Okay, we've hit on some really unexpected stuff here. The chalk, the scout-decided rule, the paper mechanism. Thinking about all that, what detail really stands out to you, our listener, as the most surprising or inventive part of Coffin's design?
For me, I think it's that leap from Model 1 to Model 2. Going from messy, ambiguous chalk lines to that incredibly clean, tactile, pin-knocking feedback using just a sheet of paper, that feels like true inventive problem solving.
Yeah, that's a strong contender. I'm still kind of charmed by the whole Scouts game, though. The fact that he worked out specific rules and even dialogue like the Scout decided shows how deeply he was thinking about the potential of the board beyond just sinking ships.
So what about you listening? Was it the chalk, the paper breakthrough, the existence of Scouts? Let us know. Find us on social media and share what surprised you the most.
And hey, if you enjoyed this little exploration behind the patent print, maybe leave us a review. And definitely subscribe so you catch our next deep dive into another piece of inventive history.
All right, let's wrap this one up. Louis Coffin's US1988301 game board It's way more than just the start of Battleship.
Yeah, it's really a snapshot of clever, low-cost analog game design, solving that age-old problem. How do you hide something perfectly, but confirm instantly when it's found or destroyed?
And the answer was surprisingly simple. A pin and a bit of paper you could break. Elegant, really.
It really is. So thanks again for joining us on this deep dive and for your support. We genuinely hope you enjoyed digging into the nuts and bolts or maybe the pins and perforations of this one.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Join us next time for another look inside an iconic patent. But maybe leave with this final thought.
Go on.
The real genius here maybe wasn't just simulating naval warfare. It was creating this cheap, reusable 3D system that could hide any secret pattern or target you could think of. It was potentially the foundation for hundreds of games we never even got to play.
A truly versatile invention. Food for thought. See you next time on Inventive Legacies.